Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Oh, there we are. Welcome back. I'm Gavin Weber, and this is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 318. Very nice indeed. Love to see you all here. I've been in the chat since, what time? Goodness me. A long time. 6:30 this morning, because we had some noisy neighbours across the road and the police had to get called, and it wasn't us that did the calling, but, you know. Anyway, that's enough of that. Thank you so much for all turning up today. It's a pleasure to have you all in the chat and watching. How many people do we have on so far? 25. That's a lot. Thank you so much. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there watching the show. It's Mother's Day here in Australia, and I think a few other places around the world as well. But definitely a big shout out to all the mums, including my mum, who may or may not be watching. It might be a bit early for her. But happy Mother's Day, Mum. Hope everything's fine and all doing well. Okay, big thank you to all of the financial members. So, they're all the YouTube members there. Big shout out to everybody who's currently financial and past members, of course, who have supported the show along the way. Also, big shout out to all of the patrons who also support the show on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for your patronage. Without your financial contributions, we wouldn't have much of a show, and yeah, it wouldn't be an ongoing concern, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Goodness me. Thank you so much, Paul. That is just amazing. Sorry, persnickety. Wrong person. Goodness me. I'm going to get a smacked bottom for that. Persnickety has just super chatted $20 US. That is massive. Checking the blinky thing, and thank you for all your vids. The curd nerd light is supposed to auto trigger, but today it has not. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. You might get two of it, but thank you, Persnickety. I really appreciate it. And Persnickety, for those who don't know, has sent me in his... is that still going? Oh, it's still going because you got a second go. Has sent me in his story, so I will be reading that out in a couple of episodes' time for the Your Curd Nerd Journey, which is another live stream that I do. This is Ask the Cheeseman, obviously. There's another live stream on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. or 1900 Australian Eastern Standard Time called Your Curd Nerd Journey. The format is a short story, no longer 1,000 words. You can go over it, I don't mind. I'll have to amend that. With up to 5 photos to be read out during the live stream. You can send your story to gavin@littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And the premise is, tell me about your cheese making journey so far, how it has changed your life, how and why did you get started, the ups and downs along the way, and anything else you would like to share. Now, a few people have already done that. Big shout out to Stacey and to Shauna, who have shared their journeys. It's been magnificent and really well received. Next week, we've got Herb Brooks has sent his story in, and the week after that we'll have Persnickety, who is in the chat today. I don't know if Herb's in the chat. But yeah, that'll be good fun. So we've got a couple more stories coming up. Now, as far as videos go, videos that I've just released is the Dry Jack Taste Test. I released that yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So let's have a look at the Trello board to make sure You're all keeping me honest. So here's my workflow so far. So Dry Jack is the one we're promoting at the moment, the taste test. It was a delightful cheese. We've already demolished quarter of the cheese already. That's how nice it is. Just putting the final touches on Baby Swiss. The video for that. There won't be a taste test in it. I tried to hang off, but it's got another 3 or 4 weeks to go in the cheese cave. So I'm going to have to... I'm going to release that one before without having a taste test, which is usually okay because I do that for most of my cheeses anyway. Triple Udder Blue, I better put that up there because that is already mostly filmed. So Triple Udder Blue, thank you Patricia for the idea on that one. I used a totally different recipe than the one that you did, and used different milks as well because I couldn't get my hands on sheep's milk, so that was a bit of an issue. So I've filmed the vast majority of that. I've just pierced it as well. It's got a nice coating of blue on it. And then we've got a Boar's, which is a goat's milk cheese. Really quick. Only takes 4 weeks to mature. 4 to 6 weeks, the recipe says. And it's got a nice coating of smoked paprika. A bit like my smoked paprika kefili. So that's just getting the finishing touches on that as well. In fact, that one will probably be ready before the Baby Swiss, but we'll see how it goes. And Comté, which I'm filming on Tuesday now. I've got the milk in the fridge just over here, but I was planning to make it yesterday, but didn't feel very well after a couple of jabs. I got some vaccines, but anyway. So that's what's on the go at the moment. Pre-planning production. Try and say that fast. Bleu de Buffalo, Reblochon, Colonia, Epoix is the cheeses that I've got recipes for. The other ones, I've got a recipe for burrata as well. Shays Fred, over at Shays Fred, yeah, the urban cheesemaker. He has a really good recipe, so I'll follow that one. Amaruli, which is a Georgian cheese. I've got the recipe for that now, so we can make that. And Zombie Apocalypse cheese making is one I'm going to have to write a script for. And yeah, I think that'll be a fun video as well. Anyway, so that's the up and coming videos to the channel. Some are taking a little bit longer than previously because I really have been filming and making, and they're just not all finished. So to a stage that I want to release the video that it's, that you can actually make it. So don't want to release anything that you can't make, if that makes sense. Anyway, all good. Anything else I wanted to say? Oh yeah, 12 days until I retire. So that's good. Kim's treating me. She's taking me away to Castlemaine for my retirement. No, just for a little getaway. And we're going to go and visit the Long Paddock cheese factory, which should be good fun. I'm looking forward to that. And picking up some cheeses for my birthday cheese platter. So that'll be good fun. Anyway, let's say good day to a few people. There are lots of people in the chat, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got 40 people watching now, which is most excellent. We've got big g'day to who's the first person? Oh, Persnickety and Patricia. Hello to both of you. Ayla, hello to you. Paul, g'day mate. Stacey and Eric, and who else we got there? Titus and Chrissy. Hello, Chrissy. And goodness me, Abdel Karim. Hello, mate. How are you? We got Jeff. G'day, Jeff. Lovely to see you. Dennis and Marianne. Who else we got there? All the usernames were taken. Liz, hello Liz, over in New Zealand. Lovely to see you. Purple Camel Films. Cheryl, hello Cheryl. Lisa G. Hello, Lisa. And that'll do. And Patricia says that epoisse is pronounced with a hard S. Epoisse. Right, okay. Thank you, Patricia. My French is not very good, as you know. But I've been kind of holding off on that cheese because apparently it's the stinkiest in the world. So I kind of want to evacuate all the cheeses in the cheese fridge before I make it. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Now, the first question of the day, because we're here for questions, right? So put them in the chat. And if you do have a question, don't forget to put like 3 Qs before it so I can pick it up, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm trying to all do at the same time. So now the first question was about cheesecloth. It's here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, goodness me, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. It's from Chrissy. Chrissy says, how is the best way to wash my cheesecloth? A few people have chimed in, and so to wash it and to sanitize it are 2 different things. So what I typically do after I finish pressing the cheese, I will soak the cheesecloth in hot water first, just in the sink, in the little side sink that I have. You see that in the videos anyway. And I throw a little bit of vinegar in there, just a couple of tablespoons. And usually that gets rid of all of the cheesy bits. My doggos are barking in the background. That gets rid of all the cheesy bits in the thing, and then I put it into a what's it called? A delicates bag. It's a little mesh bag that you put in your wash. You put your undies and lingerie and all that sort of stuff. It's not my lingerie. I put the cheesecloth into that bag and then put it in the washing machine with no detergent whatsoever. And in the final rinse, the final rinse, I fill up the final rinse container in the washing machine with vinegar, white vinegar, and then I wash the cheesecloth that way. And that way, there's no hair on the cheesecloth or anything like that. And then you go hang it up in the sun. Now, to sanitize it, sorry about that. To sanitize the cheesecloth, I then throw, when it's dry, I put it in a plastic bag and put it where all my other cheese stuff goes. Thanks, Eric. Then I take the cheese, before I start making cheese, I take the cheesecloth and put it in the pot that I'm boiling all of the stainless steel stuff in. So I boil the cheesecloth so there's no beasties on it, yeast or bacteria or anything that kills it all off. And then just put it into my colander and we're all good. So there you go. So that's how I wash it, and that's how I sanitize it as well. Some people may do it a different way, but that's the way I do it. It's been working for a long time. Stacey does her cheesecloth. Says, I like to soak it in a bowl of hot water with a tiny bit of dish soap, 2 rinses with cold, then a final rinse with water and a little white vinegar. Hang to dry, boil before use. There you go. Very close to my method. Thank you very much, Stacey. And to Chrissy for asking the question. Next question is from... no, it's a statement. Titus says, you know it's Mother's Day when every street corner has flower stands. I don't go out much, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I dare say the florists are all run off their feet today. Very cool. Titus says, I've seen the Dry Jack taste test. I think that's what you're saying. Yes, it was pretty good. Persnickety says, I wanted to make a pepper jack but wasn't feeling all there, so postponed. Yeah, it's a good, now that it's all finished. I'm gonna mash all 3 videos together for the Dry Jack and release it as one with the taste test. I tend to find that they actually do better than the original video, so we'll be doing that soon. I'll get my editor, young Benjamin, my son, to whack all those together, and we'll get that released soon. After a couple of the other videos have come out, of course. But yeah, we'll do that. Eric, not my lingerie. Yes, yeah, I had to put the caveat in that just to make sure. So yeah, that was good. Persnickety, you're a funny man. Everybody needs a hobby. Yeah, for sure. I'll never see you the same. I'm dying. Yeah, I'm laughing too. All right, Ty, something serious. Thanks, Ty. Are triplets triple cream cheeses supposed to go soft like brie or camembert? At the start, so the triple cream cheese is a lot of fat content. They do need a little bit of extra time for them to break down and go a little bit gooey. So longer than, say, a brie. Brie's typically 6 weeks maturation. Camembert's typically about 4 weeks. You'll find triple cream. I tried. What was it? I tried my little. What were they called? Triple creme cheeses. It took about nearly 2 months. So what's that? 8 weeks to break down and go gooey. Because of the higher fat content, they take a little bit more time. That's just the way it is. Persnickety says, Father's Day need brisket stalls. Well, what about the vegetarians? They'll have to get something else. Anyway, Arve, I think, Arvi, I think that's how you say it. Hello from Norway. Is the easiest way of homemade cheese curds worth it? Is the easy way? Not sure what you're talking about, but if you're talking about homemade cheese curds, there is, well, it's a fairly easy way. Let me just dig it up, shall we? I do have a cheese curds video somewhere. There we go, squeaky cheese curds. Here we go, there's the video there. Let's get the link. And yeah, it's simple enough. So it's kind of like making cheddar. Oh, I've broken the fourth wall. My goodness, where am I? There I am. So yeah, they're fairly easy to make. So yeah, it's all good. So hopefully you have a look at that video and see what you think. Paul, thank $50. Goodness me, thank you so much. Why is the light not going off? That's what I want to know. Here we go. I'll make it go anyway. Paul says, hi, Gavin. Probably an easy question, but I assume the aging time is the same for a 1 kilo cheese and a 3 kilo cheese. Happy early birthday. This will help you buy birthday cheeses. Thank you, Paul. Yes, it will help me buy birthday cheeses. And I really do appreciate it. $50 US is about, what, $75 Australian. So that, I'll buy lots of cheeses with that. That's good. So to answer your question, aging time. So the bacteria work all at the same rate. So yeah, basically it is about the same. You remember that a lot of people, well, a lot of artisan cheesemakers tend to sample their cheeses using a cheese trier to see how far along each cheese is aging, or that batch of cheeses. So they test their cheeses as they go along, but rule of thumb, 1 kilo cheese, and the size of the cheese, I would age it for about the same amount of time. Now, if you're getting over 5 kilos, which is what, nearly 11 pounds, then I would tend to age it a little bit longer, but you got to try it as you go along, is probably what I would recommend. Yeah, not probably, I do recommend that. Anyway, very nice. And thank you so much for the $50 US, Paul. I really appreciate it. There was a question here somewhere. Oh, Lisa says, I made your Caerphilly cheese, aged it for 3 weeks, and it's delicious. Yeah, it is. It's a great little quick cheese, isn't it? I was very surprised. The very first Caerphilly recipe I got, where is it? It was the first cheese book I ever bought. Is it here? I'm sorry. No, I don't have it. I can't remember what the book was called. Anyway, I got the recipe out, made it once. I didn't like it that much. I changed some of the things in the recipe, and it was my very first modified sort of cheese. So it all seemed to work out well now. So yeah, great little recipe. Especially when I changed the starter culture from a simple mesophilic like MO30 or MA11, and then changed it to use the MA4000 series, which also has Streptococcus thermophilus, which is a thermophilic culture as well, which certainly adds this amazing, robust flavour in the cheese. In fact, I use it for all my cheddar-style cheeses now. That's MA4001. So, yeah, it's got a few more cultures in there. It's I find that's a lot better for things like kefir, any English-style cheese that are semi-hard to hard cheeses. So, there you go. Glenn says he's fashionably late from Washington State. Welcome, Glenn. It's lovely to see you, mate. Maddie is also late. Hello, Maddie. Lovely to see you, mate. Stacey says, my smoked paprika kefili has 1 week to go. I can't wait. It will be amazing. And you'll get a slight little smokiness, which is very nice. Patricia says, did you say you were going to Castlemaine for your birthday? Yes. Yes, I am. Can you get bark strips from there to make a bark wrap cheese at home? Ah, good question. I'll ask them. I'll see where they get them from. It's spruce, isn't it? Spruce bark. Spruce bark. Yeah, I'll see if... Well, they make that cheese, so I'll see what they use and see if they will happy to sell me some. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Thank you, Patricia, for the gentle reminder. It's lovely. Epsilon81 says, hey, Gavin the Wise, nothing much to say, but what's kasumazu? Like, I know what it is, but why does it even exist? And it's like if Satan was a curd nerd, there's no reason for it. Yeah, I don't know. It must have been an accident, a happy little accident. Well, I don't know if it's happy. For those who don't know and are new to the chat, kasumazu is a Sicilian cheese. No, not Sicilian, Sardinian cheese, which is made on the island of Sardinia. And the farmers put it into their lofts, make this cheese, mostly out of goat's milk or sheep's milk, and put it into the loft in their barns. The flies blow on the cheese, it's known as blowing, and maggots go into the cheese. And they eat it with the maggots in it. Anyway, it's actually banned. It's not legally able to be sold, obviously due to health reasons. Maggots do leave behind things that are not good for you, especially when they're in the cheese. So why does it even exist? Well, I don't know. For shits and giggles, I think, for most likely, for the Sardinian people to make tourists squirm. I don't know. There's no real reason. Apparently, it tastes okay. I've even seen Gordon Ramsay eat it. Don't know why. I wouldn't eat. No, there's no way you would get me. You couldn't pay me $1 million to eat kasumazu. So, no, not going to do it. Anyway, off that subject. Stacey says, have to remove some mould and give it one more coat of paprika rub. Yeah, do that. It gets rid of the mould really well. Question from Persnickety says, salt milling. Is 10 minutes enough as the cheese compresses, or is more time needed? Also, would a second mill provide the time? I don't understand the context. And what cheese is it, Persnickety? So throw that in there, what cheese you're talking about. When milling salt, I believe you're referring to when you add the salt to curds before pressing. I only, stir it through the cheese. How long? A minute, maybe two tops, until you can't see the cheese anymore. Persnickety says semi-hard and hard cheeses prior to press. Until you can't see the salt anymore. So once the salt is dissolved into the curds, time to stop. The more you mill it, the more fat you lose out of the curds as well. I tend to find that in some of the semi-hard cheeses, especially like Caerphilly is very notorious for if you mill it too much, a lot of fat comes out. You'll see that the whey goes from clear to cloudy in the pot when you're milling in the salt. So don't do it too much. The curd's still very gentle at that stage before pressing, as you know. So yeah, until you can't see it. So, right. Persnickety says I was thinking of not active milling but letting it sit. How long is too long? Well, once the salt's in there, most of the bacterial activity starts to be inhibited by the salt anyway. So if you leave it too long after milling, the curds will start to stick together again, and it'll make it even harder to put in the mould. You'll have to break them up again anyway. So as you've milled the curds, they're all nice and loose and ready to get packed into the mould. So it's probably best that you do it straight away. I wouldn't let it sit too long at all. Just, once you've milled it, put it into the mould like I do, and then start the pressing procedure. So yeah, I don't wait any period of time whatsoever. So. Paul says that he starting my first 3 kilo cheese soon. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So, yeah, like I said, you're gonna have to check as you go along. If you can get your hands on a cheese trier, I think I've got one left in my store, but you can get them anywhere. They're not cheap though, unfortunately. Mine seem to be cheaper than all the dairy suppliers, but I just cannot get them anymore. Anyway, Eric has a question and says, why does my pepper jack trap whey? I boiled the chilies, then sprayed them with vinegar. I was told to use 3% citric acid solution overnight. I can't see the difference. Why does I don't understand the question. So I boiled the chilies, then sprayed them with vinegar. I was told, right, okay. All right, was this to kill off any yeasts or stuff in the chili peppers themselves? Why does my pepper jack trap whey? As in after it's pressed, Eric? Let me know. And we'll get back to that. I'm not sure about the context of that question. Liz says, I cut my first cheddar blue yesterday. It's absolutely fabulous. Thanks for the recipe, Gav. It will be a fixture, Shay Liz, from now on. Yeah, Liz, that farmhouse cheddar blue is a cracker. And it was invented by a serendipitous event. That's a big word for today. I had some farmhouse cheddar sitting in the kitchen fridge. And right next to it, I had a piece of blue cheese. I don't know why. This is back in the early days, very early days. So I don't know why that happened. But anyway, once I saw the infected blue farmhouse cheddar, I thought, well, what if I do that on purpose? What if I add in to the farmhouse cheddar recipe some Penicillium Roqueforti and then pierce it and see what happens? Because it's a fairly loose structured cheese anyway. It's always got some mechanical holes. So that's always good for blue vein development during the cheese. So yeah, there you go. So that recipe is there probably are versions of it around the world, but I credit that one for myself, I think. Anyway, all the usernames were taken. How long can I keep cow rennet in the fridge? That's time for the gallery, but we'll finish this question first. How long can I keep cow rennet in the fridge and freeze-dried moulds in the freezer? Before I should think about replacing them. Okay, so rennet, Usually it's got a best before date on it. With animal rennet, yeah, you should kind of stick to that best before date. It tends to degrade pretty fast if you're using animal rennet. If you're using vegetarian rennet like I do, I use Chimax Plus by C.H.R. Hansen, and it lasts for a good long time past the best before date. In fact, in my last 3 cheeses, I used a batch that had a best before date of 2022, so 2 years old past the best before date. I think that's due to the labelling laws in Australia. I'm not sure, but anyway, it works perfectly. Now, as far as freeze-dried moulds and cultures go, as long as they're sealed and they are still free-flowing powdery moulds or cultures, then you won't have an issue. I have been using moulds and cultures that are about year and a half, maybe 2 years past their best before date on the packet without any issues whatsoever. They still produce a viable colony of bacteria. I keep all mine sealed, so not in those silver foil packets, but I use can we zoom in? So I use these little specimen jars, and I ship these with all the cultures we sell as well, and they have a fantastic little seal on them. Just a simple, they're sterile before you open them, but once you open them, put your starter cultures in there and twist it on tight, and it stays in the freezer, and it's always loose and flowing. No problems whatsoever. Now, what I do before I make my cheese, I make sure that all the little cultures are out at least 30 minutes before I start making the cheese. So they've had time to, well, defrost. They're freeze-dried, but they're free-flowing anyway. So I just make sure they come up to room temperature before you add them to the milk. And then as soon as you're finished with them, I put them straight back in the freezer again. And it just prolongs their life. And you don't have too many troubles whatsoever. So hopefully that helps. Next question is from... same question going on. I bought these about a year ago and started preparing for my first cheese. Then my hot bath took a couple of months to fabricate. Then my Caves compressor failed. And then I needed to change to R134. Then I needed to replace the expansion valve. Then the condenser cracked. I should be up and running by July. Yeah, they'll be fine. Eric says, no cheese with maggots, no cat poop coffee beans either. Hey, try my cheese. It's a maggot. Oh, that's funny. Ayla says, I've been learning on this channel for years. Finally took the plunge with hard cheeses. Made my first kefili yesterday. It's in the press now. Very excited to join the cheese party. Well done, Ayla. Especially since you've been watching the live stream since 2018. Yeah. So kefili, like I said, is a great starter cheese for somebody who wants to skip past all of the soft cheeses like paneer and ricotta and that sort of thing. Kefili's a great first semi-hard cheese. Now, don't forget with kefili, it does like to grow a little bit of mould on the rind, which is okay, and it's a bit scary for beginner cheesemakers. Don't be scared at all. Just wipe the rind. I do it every couple of days, especially, it only matures for 3 weeks. Every couple of days with a simple brine solution. So a simple brine solution is just one tablespoon of salt to 1 cup of water, and then just dissolve that, and then just wash the cheese. And that'll keep the mould at bay for a few days. It's a very moist cheese, so it is very susceptible to growing mould on the rind. It doesn't go into the cheese, it's just on the rind. At the end of the 3 weeks, you've got a fairly solid rind because of all the washing. And you'll find that the paste inside is still nice and moist, and it's just delicious. Just make sure you do the rubbing bits after it's out of the... oh no, you did it yesterday, so you've probably done all the salt rubbing stuff. Oh, it's in the press now. Right, so every time you press it, don't forget to rub it with salt. It's all that extra salt that makes it taste so good. Okay. Next question is from Eric again. No, sorry. No, Eric, it's not. It's not the question. It's time for the gallery. Don't forget the gallery. Thank you, Paul. Sorry, I'm just waffling along. Right, the gallery. The gallery. That's because Paul's got a photo in there. That's why. Righty. Goodness me. Rightio. So, Paul and the gallery. Here we go. So, it's time for the gallery. The gallery is brought to you by you, the Curd Nerds. And thank you to Paul and Stacey, who have sent in photographs this week. So, Paul has said, so this one's from Paul. Says, Gavin, Friday is my cheese flip day. While doing that task, I decided to take my double Gloucester out of the cave. It was only 5 to 6 months old, but I thought I'd give it a try. Yep, so that sounds pretty good. We have relatives from Greece visiting us. Lunch was going to be a few hours late, so I decided to save the day with a spur of the moment cheese tasting. Maybe we were hungry, but the reality was that it was fantastic. It reminded me again why I enjoy making my own cheese with your help and how my home cheese is better than store-bought. Thanks for all your continued efforts to help us be better cheesemakers, Paul Gerish. Thank you, Paul. That is a most amazing looking double Gloucester, I have to say. And look, at 5 to 6 months, I think they taste fantastic. I just remember I found a bit of mine and I aged it out to like 7 years. Goodness me, it had crystals and all sorts of goodness in there, and it tasted amazing. But this looks fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sending in your photo. The next one is from... Where is it? There it is. This one's from Stacey. And Stacey says, Hi, Gavin. Here are some photos and short videos of a Hispanico with saffron that I made this week. 3 pounds, 8 ounces was the final weight from my 4 gallons of 2.9% cow's milk. It was my first time using my new Manchego mould, so I made a rookie mistake of having to insert it upside down for part of the pressing, causing the smooshed strip on part of the pattern. I removed the cheesecloth from the last pressing, and it definitely helps. To a lot of hot tap water over the side and bottom of the mould to help release it after the last press. Anyway, so the photos are of the final cooked curd. Nice side, lovely colour from the saffron. There we go. What's that? That's the pressing under the way with 8 pounds of water. That's a big pot. The next one is pressing in a warm area as prescribed by the recipe. Very nice. And there's the final cheese ready for vacuum pack. And I can see what you mean by the little band down here, little white, because in my Manchego mould, yeah, it's supposed to be out the other way. Anyway, so yeah, that looks lovely. I love the saffron all the way through. It should be a delicious cheese. So well done. And there's a couple of little videos, so let's have a look. The first video, here it is. Is there sound with these videos? I'll turn the sound on. I can't hear it. Start again. Right, there we go. So stabbing the curds, making them smaller. It says reducing curd side with a whisk after initial cut and healing time. There we go, very nice. And the next video is the squeeze test to check the curd doneness. And that's a fairly robust squeeze there, Stacey. But yes, it's broken all apart. So the curds are cooked to perfection. Stacey goes on to say, have a great weekend, Stacey. Thank you, Stacey. Looks amazing. That's it for the gallery. However, I was going through some photos the other day, and I found my very first Parmesan. Look at that. So I made this. Not this is this you wouldn't believe it, but that is a Parmesan cheese. And you can see that that is a rather late blown Parmesan cheese that is rock hard. So I made it in June. It started to puff up, and I went, "Oh, what's this all about?" This is when I was a newbie cheesemaker. Not only is it visually appealing, maybe not. It is, and there is no moisture left in this cheese whatsoever. So I let it go for a year. So, couple of rookie mistakes. I used pasteurised homogenised milk that obviously the cows had been fed on silage. It is, well, that's what happens when the cheese late blows. I used 2% fat milk, well, a combination of full cream, so two different types of milk, but from the same, well, brand. I won't say from the same dairy. But yeah, that's certainly what happened. And what I did, seeing that had hardly any moisture in it whatsoever, I thought, yeah, well, that'll be fairly safe to eat. Late blown cheeses, well, when they're this bad, don't have too many issues. So what I did, and there's a view. You can see into the cavernous interior. Not much cheese left, actually, as you can see. So what I did, it took me about 2 hours, but I grated it with my my very fine grater there, and stored it in the freezer. So when we need something that tasted similar to Parmesan, I used it on pasta. In fact, I made a very nice tasting basil pesto, and that's some basil pesto that I've spread on some homemade sourdough bread that we made many years back in 2012. So yeah, it tasted fantastic in the basil pesto. I'm still alive, so it's not so bad. So there we go. We all learn from our mistakes. I never made a cheese quite as bad as that. And you won't see a video about it because there were no videos around those time. And quite perfectly. Just to be honest, I didn't want to show that. But, you know, now that I'm way down the road in my curd nerd journey, you know, like it's what, 12 years ago, I'm quite happy to show this. This is what can happen. And yeah, if your cheese starts to puff up like this, then fairly good evidence that it's late blown. So there you go. Anyway, that's it for the gallery today. Curd nerds, there's not a lot going on, but thank you to Stacey and to Paul for sending in the pictures and little videos. So how do you send in pictures and videos to the show so you can be highlighted on the gallery? Sorry, train of thought going off there. So what we do, we go to the channel page and we go to this bit here that has the little arrow thing. You get the little about thing pop up. Not only can you subscribe to the Curd Nerd newsletter, which is just absolutely fabulous on a weekly basis. You get a nice little newsletter from yours truly, free of charge. No money changes hands whatsoever, and I tell you about my cheese world and what cheeses I've made lately, and tips and tricks and all sorts of good stuff is in there. If you're really if you're really into cheese making, well, you don't have to really be into it. You can casually be into it, I suppose. But yeah, here is the view email address. That's the email address to send to the gallery photos to, and any your Curd Nerd journey stories as well. So just send them all there. I will curate them, put them in, and put them all together, and we'll show them on either Ask the Cheeseman, or if it's a story, it'll be on your Curd Nerd journey. So thank you so much for your consideration. If you've got some cheeses that you're proud of, or you've made some, you've got some issues with, then yeah, sure, send them through. That'd be fantastic. I would really enjoy to receive them. Okay, So we got some questions and stuff. The first question was, is there a gallery? Yes, there was one. Sorry. I was terribly sorry and overdue. There is a question up here somewhere. Something. There we go. So Paul says, I use those same containers. That's these ones. These containers for cultures. They work perfectly. I never have any issues. Eric had some more info about the pepper jack issue. Where is it? Right, so, yes, that is post-press. I think I'm... hang on, do I miss something? No, here it is. Question number 2. Is there any harm to a short ripening period with chowder, say 20 minutes or so? A short ripening period, as in when you add the cultures... No, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. The milk would probably still be acidic enough for the rennet to set it. No, I don't think it'll be an issue at all. So, yeah. I think, yeah, so. Is that what... I think that's what you mean. Anyway. Yeah, so ripening period as in ripening the milk from between when adding the culture before adding the rennet. If that's a short period, 20 minutes is fine. If that makes sense. Next question is from... Goodness me, there's got to be one here somewhere. I know there is. Here it is. Ayla says, I was planning to vacuum pack my kefili after the air drying like you have done with the Cots chili. Is that okay? You can. It's a very moist cheese, so you may get some... whey seepage into the vacuum packaging. Look, I prefer to do my kefili with a natural rind. I've never done it any other way. So, yeah, I find that the as you mature, it needs to dry out a little bit more as the 3 weeks go on. Because you will find a fair bit of moisture in the bottom of the ripening box. I certainly do when I'm doing it. But it's better to naturally do a natural rind on kefili. You get better flavours. You'll get a thicker rind, which is a different flavour to the paste of the cheese. So look, you can, but just make sure you watch any whey seepage and unpack it and repack it, that sort of thing. Eric says he's got to run, so see you later, Eric. Thank you, mate, for joining us today. Patricia says about, that's a beautiful cheese. Stacey said that's your Hispanica. Yeah, it was. It was really nice. Persnickety says my parmesan looked like fossil evidence. Yeah, I suppose it did. Herb's turned up. Hello, Herb. Lovely to see you, mate. Before we go any further, Herb, can you please send me a photo of yourself for the thumbnail for Wednesday's episode of Your Curd Nerd Journey? I don't have one, and the only one I could find on the internet was your LinkedIn profile. So if you got a picture of yourself with some cheese, yeah, that would be lovely, mate. Appreciate it. Oh, and you do have a photo in the works. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Herb says, my worst late blown cheese, I've had 3 out of 65 or so makes. Wasn't that bad. Wow. Yes, that I kind of left it for prosperity. Yeah, I knew it was blowing. I didn't know what blowing was at that stage of my curd nerd journey. I had to go and research what the heck happened to my cheese. Unfortunately, there were no cheese-making YouTubers out there at the time, so I couldn't ask them, like you can, which is fantastic. So, yeah, it was a bit of a problem. So, yeah, so I figured out it was late blown, what I could and couldn't do with it. So I just let it go, do its thing, let it dry out, so I knew I could grate it. So, Ty has a question. Says, when you use whey for brining a farmhouse cheddar, do you need to control the pH of the brine? Good question, Ty. I test the brine to see what the pH is and make sure it's about the same as the farmhouse cheddar. You don't brine farmhouse cheddar. I certainly don't anyway. Now, if you're talking about any other cheese, yes, just check the pH of the brine to make sure that it is similar to the cheese. I don't brine farmhouse cheddars. They're a cheese where you mill salt into. So, yes. But anyway, for other cheeses, yes, just make sure that you check the pH. It needs to be very similar to what the cheese is, or the cheese will go slimy. More so, though, than when you're storing the cheese in brine. Things like feta and halloumi can be stored in brine as well. Domiati, which is another great, fantastic Egyptian cheese. All those need to be similar in pH. The brine has to be similar in pH to the cheese, or it goes slimy. Would you believe I've still got a little piece of Domiati in my kitchen fridge, which I pull out every so often, colourful little piece. It is just absolutely delightful. It's a very underrated cheese. Personally, I think it's fantastic. It was a great cheese. I made it with buffalo milk. Yeah, buffalo milk. It was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, moving right along. There must be another question here. Next question is from Patricia saying, Gav, did you give your failed parmesan a cute name? Think Lazarus's Cabin. I remember that one. Or my own Reclet. No, at the time I didn't give it a funny name. I wasn't into naming cheeses and stuff. I was just very pleased that I could actually do something with it, like grate it, and it still kind of tasted like... Well, it actually tasted like that... that Kraft parmesan in a jar with the green label? Kind of tasted like that. But I didn't give it a name, so no, don't know. There you go. Paul says, are short videos part of the cheese journey submission? Yeah, no problems at all, Paul. You can do that. If you've got a video that's starting to get up there in size in megabytes, then it's probably best to put it on a Google Drive or something like that, and share the link with me, and I can download it from there. Email tends to get a bit blocked up, and I go over my quota if the email size is a bit big. But a video, fantastic. If you've got a little video and want to say some things in your journey, other than the the narrative, that would be perfect. I would love that. Thanks, Paul. Andrew says, what's the hardest cheese you ever made? Hardest or most difficult? So the most hardest cheese ever made, you've just seen, the Parmesan one that I made that was blown like a blowy thing. That was rock hard. Like I said, it took about 2 hours, and this is no word of a lie, about 2 hours to grate it. My hands were killing me after I finished grating this. First of all, I tried to grate it in the food processor and nearly broke the thing. So I thought, no, I've got to do this manually. So that was the hardest cheese I've ever made, as in the not soft but hard. The most difficult cheese that I've ever made. I have to think about that. Shropshire Blue comes to mind. That was most difficult because it was the fiddliest cheese and kept falling apart, and I had to keep putting it together. So Shropshire Blue, or no, that one comes to mind, foremost to mind. So yeah, Shropshire Blue. All the rest are easy. Well, as you get more and more experienced, they seem to be easier. Unless somebody knows, remembers a video where I said this was difficult to do. Chaparita says, do you like queso fresco or Mexican cheese? Yes, I do. It's very nice. I think I've even got a video on it somewhere. You can go and check it out. Ayla says, thank you. I'll do a natural rind for the Cavilli instead. So would you just say hard cheeses are the ones that you could vac pack directly after drying? Yes. So anything that's been pressed for a long time at a very high pressure. So once the cheeses get to about, what did I say, 50 pounds or 22.5 kilos of pressure, and they're for at least 8 to 12 hours or overnight, then, and they air dry and they're fully dry on the outside during the air drying period, they're not going to seep any way during the maturation if they're in vac pack. So some of the cheeses that I've recently vac packed is the goat's milk cheddar, that's in vacuum packing and maturing. The baby Swiss that I've made that you haven't seen the video for, that's in the vac pack at the moment. So they're all good, and had a dry rind before I put them into the vacuum packing. So that worked fine. So yeah, nice and easy. But yeah, definitely anything that's a bit harder. So things that I wouldn't vacuum pack would be Budakaiser, because it's very soft. Havarti is another one I wouldn't vacuum pack now. I would just do a natural rind on those ones. Or if I could get my hands on it, and I can't find it here in Australia, is the Paracoat, or the PVA coating that you use for cheeses that has natmycin, which is a mold inhibitor, and it's a thin coating. A lot of European cheeses, mainly around the Netherlands, use a Paracoat. It's just a plastic coating around the cheese, and sometimes they wax it after that. But a Paracoat would be much better for those sorts of things, because it allows the cheese to breathe as well, and a little bit of moisture loss. Anyway, moving right along. Next question is from Herb. Says, my first mozzarella turned out more like a queso fresco instead. Yeah, mozzarella, even quick mozzarella, is not really a beginner's cheese. As I've said on the last quick mozzarella video I made, it takes a little bit of knowledge on, curd set, and really, you've got to get the acidity levels right before you start, stretching the cheese. But it was good fun. Herb says, but it was good anyway, so that's cool. Thanks, Herb. Persnickety says, I natural age for a bit, except for Gouda and Parmesan. If there are cracks, I vacuum pack immediately. Gouda comes out semi-hard with a skin, but no rind colour. Thanks, Persnickety, for those tips, that insight. Oh, sorry. Shauna says, Tracy sells the coating at Cheese Needs in Canada. Yeah, there are other suppliers in the US. I was trying to get an Aussie supplier, Shauna. Mainly, I was going to buy it in bulk and repackage it and see if I could sell it myself, which would not be an issue. But yeah, I'd rather get it in 5 kilo buckets if I can get it, and then sell it in, say, 500 gram buckets or 1 pound buckets. Which I have a huge stock of. But yeah, if I can get some from overseas, that would be great, but I'd rather get some here in Australia. I've reached out to suppliers in Australia, but they don't want to supply me with anything smaller than, 20 litres or something. I'm a bit out of my range, and the cost was astronomical. Patricia says, I found that difficult cheeses are technique sensitive. Shropshire Blue will stay together if you unmold it very slowly whilst rubbing the rind with a hot, wet table knife. Thank you, Patricia. Yes, it was just my clumsiness and not knowing what to expect on that cheese, and I let it dry out a little bit too much. And then Patricia says, and brie will break apart if you flip it. When you flip it, if you don't figure out a way to support it as well. Yeah, because it's so, thin, you know, it's about that thick, but because of the diameter of the cheese, yeah, I nearly broke one. I think I broke one. I can't remember. I seem to remember breaking a flat cheese in half when I made one. Okay. Cool. I think that's it. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Oh, it's Mother's Day. I've got to go make Kim some breakfast, with Ben's help, of course. So that should be good fun. But yeah, thanks everybody for turning up today. It's been a lovely day. I've had so much fun. And thanks for asking all the lovely questions. It's been a great little chat today. Very active in the chat today, so it's great fun. So thanks very much for watching, Curd Nerds. Now, don't forget that if you want to purchase any cheese making supplies, equipment and kits, you can do that over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And we also have some merch over at my merch shop, merch.cheeseman.tv. There you go. Thanks, everybody. Please join me on Wednesday night, if your time zone suits, for an interesting story that Herb's got about his journey. I will get the show scheduled once Herb sends me through his photo, and I can make a lovely thumbnail for him. So we'll do that, and that'll be ready on Wednesday at 7 p.m. or 1900 Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what that is where everybody else is, but just go and watch the live watch page and you'll see that. But thanks everybody, appreciate it, and appreciate you, and we will see you next time. See you later, bye-bye.